So while the tallest human to ever live in real life was Robert Wadlow with an impressive height of 2.72 meters or 8 feet 11 inches tall, most of us, however, hover beneath the 6 feet range or less than 1.83 meters. However, in sci-fi and hell, in other fantasy works too, there are humans that are taller than the rest, than the average. These here in this list are the 30 tallest humans in sci-fi and fiction, including transformations, in suits that grant them size change, and also posthumans. Aliens, no matter what or how similar they are to us humans, are not included. Let's get to it. So at the bottom we have Spartans from Halo. These superhuman soldiers of the universe of Halo are taller than most humans due to their biological augmentations. Most of them stand around 7 feet tall, well, more or less that height. They're also stronger, faster, and more intelligent than the baseline human. Next we have the ancestors of Halo. The ancestors, who are commonly referred to as ancient humanity, in Halo were a prehistoric technologically advanced civilization of the human species that existed from roughly 150,000 BC till 100,000 BC, and they were said to be taller and more massive than modern humans. Then above these ancestors are the Numenorians, or just Elendil here. These Numenorians of the world of Tolkien were a race of men that were taller and longer lived than the common middlemen of Middle-earth. Most of them were more than 2 ranga tall. That's their measurement in their world, or that translates to around 7 feet, with Elendil being one of the tallest, standing at 7 feet 11 inches tall. Then we come to the Astartes of Warhammer 40k. These are genetically engineered super soldiers created by the Emperor of Mankind. The Space Marines are humanity's elite defenders. Encased in power armor and enhanced by 19 gene organs, they tower over normal humans at between 7.5 to 8.5 feet tall, depending on chapter armor and the genetic lineage. Above them we come to the world of all tomorrows, and here we have the Bone Crushers, which were one of the post-human species descended from the alien Q's post-human pet species. The Bone Crushers were about 3 meters high, with clawed thumbs, and their name is derived from their heavy beaks, which are evolved to break the bones of dead animals. Then around the same height we have Frankenstein's monster, which is a fictional character that first appeared in Mary Shelley's novel called Frankenstein of 1818. Shelley describes the monster as 8 feet tall. This resurrected monster of different human parts attempts to fit into human society but is shunned away, which leads him to seek revenge on his creator, Victor Frankenstein. Now coming to the world of Exodus, here we have the Imperial Celestials of the game. These are a type of Celestials that live in the core of the Centauri cluster. They are descendants of humans that evolved there for 25,000 years, and although there were many types, these Imperial ones are the tallest at 2.5 meters or 8 feet 3 inches tall on average. So going on to 40k again, we now come to the Ogrins or Homo sapiens gigantus. These are the largest and most physically powerful type of ape humans in 40k. The Ogrins evolved in worlds with harsh and barren environments with high gravity, which were worlds that were originally prison planets, and these Ogrins evolved to stand between 2.5 to 3 meters tall. Okay, the first entry from the superhero franchises, here we have Cain Marko, better known as the Juggernaut, who is a longtime enemy and sometimes an ally of the X-Men. Cain Marko, or the Juggernaut, accidentally found the Temple of Sidorak and obtained the Crimson Gem. This gem's mystical power transformed Marko into Sidorak's avatar on Earth, the 9.5 feet tall Juggernaut. Then 40k again. Now we come to the Custodes, the Emperor's personal Praetorians. Each is artfully crafted rather than mass-produced like the Astartes, and they combine gene crafting, alchemy, and psychic refinement. They usually stand between 9 and 10 feet tall, making them taller, denser, and more powerful than the Space Marines. Now we're gonna stay here in 40k for a while. Next here we have the Goliaths, which are members of House Goliath or Necromunda, and these are vat-grown, chemically enhanced and built for brute strength, and they often used in industry and gang warfare. Their extreme augmentations make them around 10 feet tall, with exaggerated musculature. Then next we have the Primarchs. They are forged by the Emperor himself through unmatched genetic mastery. The Primarchs are demi-god-like generals whose brilliant strength and presence shaped the Great Crusade. Each is a perfected template of the transhuman potential, standing between 10 and 12 feet tall, with some like Vulcan maybe being taller. Back to All Tomorrows, here we have the Spacers, which were a post-human species in that franchise, in that book I mean. Their ancestors were the only star people who escaped the Q's wrath. Free from gravity, In space, the limbs of these spacers evolved and became long and spindly, with thin hollow bones, and made them twice the height of modern humans. The next, the Tyrant 016 or the Unnamed Tyrant series from Resident Evil. These are one of the unnamed tyrant types of Resident Evil, and they are no doubt one of the tallest in the franchise. They are bioweapons but still human at the base. This one, along with 013 and 008, are more than 14 feet tall and closing in on 15 feet or 4.5 meters. Now the last entry from 40k is the Emperor of Man. He is the most powerful human psychic in history and the architect of the Imperium. The Emperor's true size is rarely depicted consistently, but the most authoritative lore places him around 14 feet tall during the Great Crusade. The next is Slothmen from Man After Man. They are evolved from humans over millions of years. The Slothmen are post-humans. They are massive, slow-moving descendants which are adapted into forms that resemble giant ground sloths. Their elongated limbs and heavy bodies allow them to dominate the landscape at an immense 13.1 to 16.5 feet in height, or between 4 to 5 meters. Next is a person from the Dune universe. He is Leto II Atreides, or the God Emperor again. Transformed by millennia of symbiosis with the Sand Trout, Leto II becomes a God Emperor whose body blends human intellect with the mass and resilience of a sandworm. His colossal, partially worm-like body or form stretches to roughly 23 feet in length and makes that half in height. Next is the Armored Titan from Attack on Titan, and along with others of his kind are actually transformed humans. Surprising, right? This one is a heavy war form built for shock assault. Its entire body is encased in hardened muscular armor that shrugs off attacks easily. This powerful Titan stands at an imposing 49.2 feet tall. Now next is Nancy Archer from the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. She is the antagonist of the Sci-fi movie. Due to an encounter with an unnamed alien, she gets kind of an ability and she transforms into a 50-foot giantess and then proceeds to go on a rampage as she seeks revenge on her cheating husband. Next, Ant-Man from Marvel. When accessing the giant man mode of his Pym particle abilities, Ant-Man can scale his mass and size upward dramatically, trading agility for raw power and reach. At one of his maximum stable enlargements, he rises to around 65 feet tall, as was seen in the MCU. Now a bit bigger is from DC, and this is the Atom Smasher. This one uses quantum control over his molecular density. Atom Smasher can increase his size and strength far beyond human limits. At full enlargement, he can reach between 60 and 70 feet tall, gaining tremendous physical power with each added meter. Next is Giant Man from Marvel again. When pushed to the extreme, Pym particle expansion, Giant Man, or the iteration of Hank Pym's Ant-Man, the original one, can grow to a staggering size, though at the cost of stamina and metabolic strain. His highest reliable giant state lifts him to roughly 100 feet in height. Now back to all tomorrows, here we have the biggest, the Titans. These are genetically sculpted and uplifted by the Q aliens. The Titans are immense post-human descendants designed to look more like gigantic elephants rather than humans. Their massive column-like bodies rise to around 131 feet, which means 40 meters, dwarfing all lesser human offshoots. The next is the Colossal Titan from Attack on Titan. He is a walking engine of annihilation. The Colossal Titan of Attack on Titan radiates extreme heat and steam powerful enough to devastate entire districts upon manifestation. Towering at nearly 200 feet tall, it is one of the largest and one of the most destructive Titan forms in the franchise. Now bigger than that is Giganta. This one is from DC. She is able to grow through bioexpansion and cellular magnification. Giganta becomes a literal giantess whose strength multiplies with every increase in size. At her upper limits, she can reach an enormous 300 feet in height, making her one of DC's largest humanoid beings. The next is, again from Attack on Titan, we have here Rod Reiss. Twisted by an incomplete transformation, Rod Reiss becomes an immense mindless titan whose body drags across the ground under its own impossible weight. His grotesquely elongated form stretches to roughly 557 feet, making him one of the largest titans ever recorded. On the fourth spot we have Dr. Manhattan. He is a being of nearly limitless quantum awareness. Dr. Manhattan can manipulate his size as effortlessly as subatomic fields, enlarging himself to monumental proportions during displays of cosmic power. He typically ranges from 100 to 600 feet when choosing to manifest on a gigantic scale. The next on third spot we have Ymir Fritz from Attack on Titan. She is the progenitor of all Titan powers. Ymir's founding Titan takes the form of a vast, skeletal colossus carried by a massive network of bone and sinew. Her towering structure reaches an extraordinary 878 feet tall, dwarfing nearly all other Titan forms. On the number 2 spot we have the World Breaker Hulk. At its absolute peak of rage-fueled evolution, the World Breaker Hulk becomes a seismic force capable of shattering countries and continents with mere footsteps. Well, this is hyperbole. In his hyper-empowered state, he can grow to between 820 and 984 feet tall, embodying raw destructive potential at its maximum. But the biggest is Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. Eren's final transformation manifests as a gargantuan skeletal behemoth, which is formed from the power of the founding Titan and the chains of the hallucigenia. This apocalyptic war form reaches an unbelievable 1148 feet in height, making it the single largest Titan ever in the entire series. And so that's what I think are the tallest humans in sci-fi and, fantasy and fiction. And I know, there are a lot more in anime, and I would do appreciate if someone puts them down in the comment section below, so that I will learn. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Do hit the like button for support, and also for the ones holding their phones in their hands, don't forget to hit the hype option to push this content further. Subscribe to be a part of Legion Nutbug. Until the next time, take care, boys.